Hello everyone, hopefully we're live and I'll just have to check that on YouTube.
Hello everyone.
Yes we are, alright, so you guys can start piling in. I'll just send the link in Twitter.
Yes we are.
I'll just give you guys a minute to come in and we'll get started. So today we're going to be talking about a few projects that you guys are going to suggest to me to look up for you as well, but of course some that I've been looking at some of them over the course of months or years even, some of them just recently. We'll just be going over broadly over the space, some Elrond stuff, whatever we can come up with today. And as you can see, it's been 6 months since I last streamed, so we'll try to make that more regular. Hello from the UK, hello from Australia. As you can see behind me, since in the last 6 months, we've got a new computer back there. That's actually my brother's moved in with me. And I also have something that's absolutely attacking my arm right now because I'm talking too much. New addition to the family. Oh. This is Theodore Elrond Barkington. He's actually a very good boy, but he was just attacking me because I'm talking so much. And he's wondering, what the hell are you talking at? You're being a good boy, aren't you? He's a very smart boy. Talk. Theo, talk. Theo, talk. No, he doesn't want to talk. Oh, he's a good boy. Off you go. Might have to lock him out if he starts to get too restless, but anyway. I'll get started here and share my screen. And and if any guys have any questions, down we go. If any of you guys have any questions to begin with, or as we go on, just shoot them through and I'll see your text there and I'll be able to answer them, and we can have a discussion around whatever you guys like. Oh, she is not wanting to stay up there. What is happening? That should be fine. Well, it was before, since it's fallen. Yeah, he's a corgi. Come in. He's a Pembroke Welsh corgi. He's a tricolour. Whoops, get settled. Come on. He's a very good boy. He's about must be 8.5 months old now. Hey, bud. I don't have anything for him to sit on, otherwise I could just leave him to sit up here. At the moment, he's just on me. He's a big boy, though. You're right, bud. He's a good boy. Whoop. Very good boy. Yeah. All right, so obviously recently we've just had the Ethereum. Can't even say it. Okay, good. I get the pronunciation right. For some reason, you cannot think of it off the top of my head right now. But we've had the Ethereum, the new ESDT on Elrond just launched with the price discovery mechanism, which the team have been working on for quite a while now, and is kind of an exciting new little DeFi tool that obviously we can have more fair launches with tokens that don't just pump and dump and people buying up too many tokens instantly and things like that. Yeah, Ethereum. Thank you. I kept thinking Ethereum. I was like, that it's not Ethereum. It's something. Anyway. So obviously that new DeFi mechanism, I just changed the layout here too. That mechanism is quite a ingenuitive one that sort of hasn't been seen in the space yet, which is nice. I think everyone likes sort of doing things like that. Like they had the what other mechanisms I mean, they had the the DEX launch with what do they have to launch with again? Jesus, what? Pardon me, sorry. It's just it's a little late for me, and I've sort of had stuff ready, and then just kind of went, I'll just wing the rest of it and wing the intro and everything like that. So I'm just kind of half with it and half not. And for some reason, the internet's not wanting to work, so that's great. But I remember they've brought out some new mechanisms that sort of I went over in my last video as well, which was quite a while ago, and I've had to be in and out of the space for the last few months, so it's done my head in with it a little bit as well, which is a bit annoying. But anyway, here's what it is. So I might just go straight on to the first project that we're going to discuss today, which is Knit Finance, which is what I threw my poll up on Twitter the other day for, to see if you guys actually wanted me to share it. I prefer CoinGecko, so I'll just bring that up too. For some reason, nothing wants to work. Okay, that's great. But it is quite a low market cap. Not saying that it's the time to buy it now, but I mean, with plays like this, obviously the fully diluted valuation is a lot higher as well. But with plays like this, it's a matter of you're not looking at the next month as to whether maybe you go down 50% from here, and it's a very low market cap, so anything could really happen. Going down 50% from here, you'd be pretty upset to be selling then, and then in 3 months' time, if it goes up 10x, it's just because it's such a low market cap, you never know what's going to happen. But this project in particular is one I saw when it first sort of started making the rounds. It released all their partnerships, which I unfortunately cannot load. I'll just see if I can get it up on Brave rather than my browser, which might just be not working right now. Yep, there we go. So yeah, it kind of came on my radar when it first started listing with as partnered to a bunch of different projects. So they were partnering with Orion, which is also a seed funder as well, and Elrond and Polygon and all these sort of other projects like API3, and I saw them on I think it was Telos or another blockchain as well, and they just got loads of different partners that they're sort of working with. So actually, it might have been Avalanche sort of anyway. So yeah, they're basically just a bridge, a cross-chain wrapped asset deposit with that promises cross-chain wrapped assets with deposit insurance. So essentially, what there'd be is wrapping assets from the top 200 assets, as many as they can possibly, with a permissionless bridge, so that they can kind of provide liquidity for the entire space to, that have insured custody, so you can mint one-to-one wrap K assets and deposit assets estate where possible. So incentives are airdropped on chain. So as you are holding proof of stake assets as well, they'll obviously drop you the incentives in the interest rate that you receive. So for example, in Elrond, it's about 13% at the moment or something like that. So yeah, basically, this protocol itself doesn't really have anything on it at the moment necessarily. It has. I've seen on the Telegram they're working on a couple of things. They're actually working on quite an unknown chain at the moment, and kind of bridging assets from Binance Smart Chain to that chain at the moment. So, but they're really trying to be that sort of layer for liquidity across chain. So there's a lot of projects doing the same thing. Like another one that I have on my radar that's a low cap is MTRG, which is a meter governance token, and Meter itself has a stablecoin that's pegged. It's a proof of works chain has a stablecoin that's pegged to the price of electricity for mining the coin at the time, which is interesting to see as well. So if this protocol works out and starts to become a sort of a semi de facto bridge for certain blockchains, like saying Binance Smart Chain, Huobi, Moonriver, and etc. Polygon, Elrond, Tezos, etc. So if they actually do start to become sort of a thing, you can get their liquidity, their breakdown on private sale, public sale, et cetera, et cetera. And it's come down quite a lot, which I was going to show on CoinGecko. It's come down quite a lot in price compared to where it has been, which obviously to begin with ends up being VCs. VCs end up dumping and it settles off. But then we had that other sell-off where Bitcoin, crashed down, and ever since it hasn't really recovered. So it's just sat around this level for quite a bit here. 99% down from its all-time high, which is, that's 100x, which could not happen. Never know. Being in most people are calling a bear market at the moment. Nothing's really recovering too well. There's obviously a few that have been going, like we've seen ZPay's gone up quite a bit, which is a nice run for the whole Orion community. If you guys got in on that, good job. Obviously you can go over the team of any of these projects and stuff like that, and these are their investors, so they're a lot of them would be the people that would making the price go from here down to here. So having VC backing isn't always necessarily a good thing, because some of the backers are just in it for a quick buck, and they get their quick buck quite often. So yeah. And usually, I already have, but I would strongly recommend with any project that you invest in to read the white paper and really try to understand it. There's a lot of terms in there that you'll come across that you might not even have any clue of what they mean, but it's as simple as just going through, if you don't know what a smart contract is, or I'm sure most of you do, then just going through, what is a smart contract, and finding out what a smart contract is from there. So it's definitely worth your time to go through and find out exactly how these protocols work, if you can understand it, and essentially what these protocols are offering, and maybe even as you go down the line, you sort of get an idea more of the financial incentives behind each project, and sort of if they're successful or where they are now as to what they should be worth. So, if this became successful in bridging the top 200 assets, you can assume that people would use it. And of course, as we know in the past, bridges are risky. So, things like this never come without risks. There's no way I'm giving set financial advice or anything like that. This is a token I own. I don't own much of it. It's a moonshot, very low market cap. I don't own much of it, but I do own some of it. And that being, like I said, it can be risky. There's certain things you need to take into consideration about, how these things work. And if you can understand them, you really should only invest in things you at least have a good understanding of. So yeah, definitely go through and read that sort of thing. Another one I was going to go through and just have a mention and a talk about. If you guys have any questions about the last one, or if you have any suggestions on any others that you want to discuss, I'm more than happy to go through. I know most of the coins that are on the market, and if they're more than a year old, then there's almost a guarantee that I know them as well. Just considering I've been busy as heck in the last 7 months and haven't been as much in the space. But yeah, so another one, Unmarshall, which is similar in nature to the Graph, which is a data indexing tool that basically people use it for their smart contracts to be able to aggregate data easily. And as you can see here, $2.7 billion market cap. That's been up a lot higher than that. So, it was at $2.18. This in itself, if we come out of a bear market, pretty much any of these coins, any coin pretty much is going to be a bet. If we're coming out of a bear market here, maybe we're breaking trend here. I'm not exactly going to draw an exact straight line, but if we're breaking out a trend somewhere there, it might be that we get into a bull market at some point. These sort of things are going to come back up to maybe these levels around here, or we could even break all-time highs, or even just have a nice little pump and come back down. It's really depends on, we'll have to see where the market goes. But these two projects are quite comparable in nature. The Graph had a lot more marketing almost. There was basically two dudes who created this protocol because they saw there was a need for it. There was no data indexing tools in the space at all, and these guys basically put their heads together and went, well, we need one that needs to be used, and they sort of were the first to come to market and created this tool that made things easier for developers and easier for users as well in some cases. So essentially, they got a lot of marketing, listed in a lot of places quite quickly, and people who got in early, anyone who got in around here and here shot up pretty quickly. It was quite a large euphoria area, and sort of comes back down to where we are today. But this project, a $12 million market cap, which has been going up recently, we were back here at 18 cents, so it's already pulled a pretty significant number of, what's that? Right, I mean 2.5, 3x, not quite 3x, but 2.5x ish. So yeah, it's obviously comes with a grain of salt when you invest in something that's already done a 2x. Like, a lot of things we'll have now that we sort of came in and out of a little bear market back there where I just bring up Bitcoin. Oops, searching USDT, which I really should just be on TradingView for this, but where we sort of had those sweeping lows and coming back up and down and up and down, and sort of broke that trend a little bit there. It was forming there was a sort of a rising triangle there, and we sort of broke out of it and came back down into it. So just that sort of euphoric area. Some coins haven't sort of followed Bitcoin back down as much as others have. But yeah, Unmarshall are quite similar in nature to the graph, but it has got quite a lot of usage that I think a lot of people aren't aware of. Like it gets used on a lot of different chains. A lot of projects prefer it over the graph just because of the structure of it, the way that it's easier to use and everything like that. But it's one of those things where the actual industry itself, the data indexing, it's useful. It's great. I saw, what do you think about CYOP? I'll just write that down and I'll come back to it. So it's one of those things where it's useful, but how much money is actually in that area? In the real world, data indexing is big. And in crypto, I'm sure it will be too at some point. But at the moment, it's really just, you don't need to pay to use it as much as you'd think you would. Not, it doesn't have marketability to what, why would I want to personally buy a coin that's a data indexer? I don't get any real utility out of it personally. So it's one of those things that's just ends up being marketing to a degree, as well as, like the difference between this 12 million and then the $2 billion market cap was pretty much marketing, but being first to market, which was important. And, maybe this is undervalued, maybe the graph's overvalued, maybe they're both undervalued. And by how much, I guess you'd have to go through and find out the usage and, read the white paper. Always will say that, read the white paper. Highly recommend, check out the medium. And you can obviously track the token metrics and everything like that in there, the scan. And, there's a total and max supply, and there's a circulating. So there's obviously 4 times more coins than what is out to still come out. And you would want to find out how they come out, or if they've been burnt on pretty much any coin you come across. All right, I'll go straight to CYOP for also MLT. I'll just bring that up as well. And I'll go through their white paper a little bit. That's not right, but that's okay. Maybe it's only on. I'll come back to that one anyway. PsyOp. Now, looks familiar, but I'm not sure why. I believe that's the one we were looking for. $200 for an Ethereum ticket look like a bargain if you're lucky enough to go on. Yes, all of the Elrond pre-sales are going to be a bargain. If you can get a ticket, get a ticket. It's a bargain. You're always going to make some money off of that. That's generally what's going to happen with pre-sales. With you're basically funding the project to build a product, whilst then they go on the market and the market sets the price, and anyone can own the token at that point. So it's not like this $16 million market cap on this protocol, milk, I suppose I'll call it. It's not like the team have all of those tokens. It's on the open market, so for anyone to sort of find. So investing and funding those projects to begin with are going to be very profitable. I like the little layout here. Intro. Triggers a buying frenzy. So this is almost like a protocol people put money into, then vote on governance as to what the protocol is going to buy. So I'm not sure if you want to know what their protocol governance is doing so that you can buy the token before the protocol does. But then also I have to find out what the incentives are behind it and things like that. So I do remember seeing this, but I don't remember the website being like this. So protocol is going to be stake. Percent of the winning token we sucked into a void and burn. The bigger amount of users. So 50% of the token, 80% of the token gets used to market buy a token that's voted on. Is that correct? And then out of that, 50% of it goes to a winner. And 50% of that will just be awakened by chance. Oh, so 50% of it gets locked for a period of time unknown, and then they're sold back. 50% of it goes to of the winner's tokens. So 50% of tokens that get bought are burnt, and then the other 50% are sold at some point in the future. Right. So it's essentially just an initiative to increase the price of some token that the community want to. Just an accumulator positive income. $10% of the fund goes to liquidity, 5% of market buy, further strengthening of liquidity. Experience a matrix goes in its favor and is awarded 10% of the fund. Yeah, so there is a winner that gets 10% of the fund. 10% goes, 5% goes to liquidity, 5% of market buy, and 10% of the fund goes to a random person. But you need an X amount of tokens. If the fund is bigger than 30 ETH, 3 winners will be selected. Right. So these sort of projects are, everything's a bit sort of about hype and marketing. But these sort of protocols have a 30% launch. So these sort of protocols sort of have a incentive for you to buy it, and an incentive for they have a fund, a DAO fund behind them that they use to buy tokens, which then positively increase the price of that token. So if you're in that DAO and you're voting and you can see what token is going to be purchased, then potentially you can front run that, make some money off of it as well. I still try to understand what it's all about. Yeah, so essentially, I would assume that some people are using that to front run the actual project itself, but then at the same time, it does have the the benefit of that fund that they have. It goes back into liquidity and a market buy, and then some of it goes into the protocol itself. So they start off with X amount of liquidity. That there's a fund that you can add money to. Yeah, so it looks like they just use 80% of the fund of their own token. So, if they're selling 80% of the token and then buying it back later, that's something else you can also sort of get an edge on if you know what's happening and when it's happening. This is a sort of thing that can be really easy to trade if you understand what's happening when. And it's the kind of thing that, could be profitable to hold if it's, I know I've seen it before. I don't think it's too old, but I know I've seen it like a month ago or something. How old is it? Oh, it's back in December, even November. Well, yeah. So here is probably, where they've unlocked some tokens potentially from a random sale back here. They've unlocked some tokens here, or there was some hype here maybe, or some hype here, and then some of the tokens that they've previously sold of the token. So that there's the pool fund, and they've essentially used that pool fund to buy a token here, and then later on potentially here, or more like back here where the price suddenly spikes in a day. They've sold the token that they've previously bought, the 50%, and bought their token back. And then potentially, the next DAO vote happened up here maybe, or, I'm not sure exactly when it happened, but these sort of things can be quite easy to sort of time a period where if you can know when the tokens get unlocked for them to buy back, or if you know when they're about to buy another token, you can potentially buy that other token if they have a large dev fund for it. So yeah, it's an interesting one, and these sorts of things, can sort of be tracked on that sort of basis. Where it's at now is, on the chart, it's sort of almost like a midline. It can go lower. It has been 95% lower only 9 days ago. That doesn't seem right. March 14th, 15th, 16th, 17th. I'm not sure why it's saying all-time. Oh, that's of the all-time high. That's up here, right? I'm sorry, I'm looking at all-time low. So it has been, 8 times lower. So which would be like a, almost 90% loss or something from here. So, you got to take into account that if you're willing to take a 90% risk in something that can have 20x return potentially at a spike, or if you can see that it's getting some attention, it might be worth a look. Do I have a preferred stablecoin? Do you trust algos? Yeah, algo coins such as UST. So yeah, UST I think is, as far as some other algo stablecoins, we've seen some of them sort of drop off the face of the planet. We've seen some protocols like even just DeFi protocols like I don't know if you guys remember Metal, but that absolutely dropped off the face of the planet and just didn't work. But the thing that you'd be worried about with UST would be the price of Luna, and now Bitcoin as well. They have a lot of their reserves they've just used to collateralize. They've collateralized Bitcoin and whatnot to create more UST. As Stoquan, the CEO, has done. So Yeah, UST has been around for a long time and has maintained its peg quite well. Historically, if it hasn't been maintaining its peg, if it's down, it's a good time to buy it just because it's down, and will return back to its peg generally. And the times that it is volatile is when the market crashes, and Luna's down from down maybe 30, 40, even 60% or whatever it goes down. But it is one of the algo stablecoins that has stood the test of time, that does have a good backing behind it, that has good good code base, good liquidity. They also have good rewards. So I would definitely say I trust UST. But it's not the only stablecoin that I would trust. Even to the point of USDT, there's a lot of discussion as to whether it's just going to fail, based on it not being backed in the past and lawsuits and things like that. If it doesn't fail, it will. I don't think it's just going to disappear. I don't think UST could possibly do that just because of its massive effect on the market that I don't think anyone does want, including regulating bodies or anything like that. I think it would have to generally, if someone went after it in some jurisdiction, it would have to be the custody of the money, and the UST would have to be taken over. And I think someone would just, if it wasn't backed one-to-one, obviously there'd be legal trouble, but then they would just back it one-to-one, whatever government or entity claims control of UST itself would back it, and it would be fine from there. It wouldn't be, there'd be a shitstorm for a little bit of people going crazy, wondering what the hell's going on, but it definitely, I don't think it wouldn't last a set of time, based on the fact that it's just too big and people don't want it to fail. It's the biggest stablecoin. It gets used on every exchange, and no one wants to see that fail. So I'll go on to Milk. There's a Danish website there too. And we go on Twitter. And I've got Discord as well. Metaverse industry gap between the consumer products and the audience. Combination of virtual reality, blockchain technology, and AI. So I mean, on face value, obviously, only just looking at the website, AI is big. It's going to continue to be big, but it's hard. It's very hard. Obviously, we haven't cracked so-called cracked AI yet, and that's something that is going to continue to be a problem into the future, although it becomes easier and easier. And there are really good AI that exist but aren't open to the public, like GPT, which is I highly recommend you actually. Whoa, she's down again, boys. All right. Let's just do that. Which is GPT-3, which is, what was I saying? Which was GPT-3 is an AI created by OpenAI. So it's it basically has multi founders, Elon Musk. It has a multitude of general purpose uses that sort of can actually make quite a large disruption today. Even GPT-3 is actually quite old. There's now GPT-4, but the capabilities it has is quite remarkable. You'd be surprised to see what it can do. But obviously, it being open to the public, if it doesn't have any limitations or filters, imagine everyone having access to a stock market predictor that was more accurate than most trading algorithms, just because it has access to the entirety of social media and being able to use its access to social media to know, track top investors and know their sentiment, or not necessarily their media potentially, but metadata, anything that they could get their search history or anything like that. If an AI can do that, then really we sort of can't be trusted with it on a wide scale. There's obviously bad people in the world, and you don't really want those people getting their hands on AI. There's enough of them that have power in governments, and the reason why the world doesn't work the way it should. Corruption. Anyways, that's my spiel on AI. VR is going to be big as well, but it's got a little while to go. I think actually one of the very exciting things is one of the first real sort of use cases, but not just use cases, sort of real applications of implementation of VR that will be like seen as useful and fun, and everything like that will be through HoloRide, which it's niche, but anyone who buys a new car, a new Audi, will either have or have the option to have the HoloRide headset and gear and everything like that for their car. So they'll discover themselves how fun it can be, and it's sort of the first not mass market product, because obviously we've got HTC and Oculus and everything like that. They already have massive products that sort of, they're just not mass marketed in the same way of if you want to get one, you sit in your house with a couple of stands around the room that detect motion and things like that with the controllers. They still need spatial awareness with that sort of thing. So it's kind of not something you can just bring on the bus, for example. And getting to that point even will be very hard for it to be able to be a bring on the bus sort of thing, because with HoloRide, it has the motion stability, the real-time tracking of your location, speed, and everything like that. On a bus, it's going to be very hard to provide that with a normal HTC headset, which HTC are obviously working with them, and then also they've got Facebook VR as a HoloRide have Facebook VR as a what do you call it, as an advisor, as well as Apple VR, as well as Universal, and they have a lot of big names as well. So they obviously have quite good technology for that moving VR experience. So it'd be interesting to see that sort of first consumer product that is, you're sitting in your car, what else are you going to do? Especially as we see like self-driving become more of a thing. It's more for passengers, obviously, at the moment, especially. But what are those passengers doing in their meantime? They can be having fun playing a game or socializing in a VR context, or just even browsing the internet with it to some degree. So yeah, it's exciting to know that Elron's sort of the first leg up in this sort of cool niche thing that's going to be big one day. It will be in every car at some point. You'll be able to use VR in any car. So going back through this, there's a lot of metaverse social platforms and metaverses going around, and honestly, so many of them are overvalued. You look at even and I do have some by de facto. I don't personally own any sandbox or have any assets, but de facto I own a fund that has some. I own some of a fund that has some. I shouldn't say I own the fund. I definitely don't. But that's just through shares that I've earned through work that I've done, which I haven't touched or seen any of, which I'm totally fine with, obviously. But yeah, so Sandbox itself, it's cool, promising concept. I like it. It's great. It's like Minecraft almost, and anyone can create and build. It's just I don't know how many players are actually going to be within Sandbox, and how the play to earn is going to work if when they implement that, and things like that. So it'll be interesting to see how that comes about. But really, the thing you want is users. You can see Axie Infinity is a reflection of that. They had a lot of users from, I think it was Singapore. Correct me if I'm wrong there, but they had a lot of users, and the users were coming in from Singapore, and they were making money, and the early investors in it were making money, and you can still make money on it today. You can go and play the game and earn money in the form of their token. Pardon me. So yeah, it's a matter of how many users they sort of start to get, how fun the game is, and how many people are willing to use it to sort of have their needs met through economic means, earn their money, earn their day-to-day living, or use it as a side hustle, play because they want to, and they just earn $20 for doing it a week even. So yeah, this metaverse looks a bit sort of plain. So what I like to look for in a metaverse product is really first off, Unreal Engine. you guys probably don't know this, and I don't think it's very common knowledge, but I think around the start of the month, maybe on the 4th or something, Epic Games released Unreal Engine 5, which creates more realism, photorealism, and sort of texture rendering becomes more efficient, and things like that. It's sort of the stuff that's been needing for realistic sort of VR, lower graphics computing function, and so it's easier to run and things like that. This sort of thing sort of has its own game engine, or I'm not sure exactly what it's built on, but really the future of entertainment isn't exactly going to be this. Not dissing it in an investment wise, because it has a low market cap. Who knows how many investors it could possibly get. Who knows what companies are backing it. I haven't even started to look at that really. And I'd advise you, if you're looking at this, to look into who is working and building and investing in this. The number of monthly users, founded in 1996, 25 experience. Yeah, German TV award. So white paper, one pager. I do like that the private sales at 30%. That's pretty good, really. That's a private sale. The public sales in 1.5. So that potentially has a lot of VC funds to come out of it as well. Like I said, it depends who invested in it. Who seed funded it. Angel investors, yeah. So who made this? How long do they plan on working on it? And does it look like it's going to be fun or earn you money? Yeah, so it looks like it has a large enough team to be able to build something good. So at least the team size could get there. Get a few partners and everything. Legend of Elysium, Farum. So they have prospects to be able to build, something that could really work. Board of advisors. Yeah, a couple of VCs and some business chairmans and whatnot. Yeah, so as far as a project like this, it's not something I'd look at, jumping straight in on, but it's something I'd look at what they're building and sort of see, is this going to be fun, or how go into depth on the tokenomics and see how they are really implementing the pay to earn, or if it's going to be, something that's worth putting that time and energy and investment into. Content licensing AI. Yeah, what are they, things like what are they doing with their AI algorithms? I know someone wanted me to mention, I think it was, was it Noi or I think it was Noi. Not on CoinGecko? Oh, and IOX, my bad. So there's so many different coins that have several industries within them. I've made a list one time just of the partners that Elrond have, so I'll try to look at that. Perhaps it was this one or this one. Can't remember off the top of my head, but I essentially listed how many. It wasn't this one. Oh no, it was. So essentially, these partners here all have different uses, like AI, machine learning, decentralized databases, computer vision, and retail automation. Can't even speak. It is almost 12 o'clock for me, so just time getting to me a little bit. I've been going to bed pretty early, so it's just a little bit of a shock tonight, but that's all right. And they've got research partners, different privacy layers, supply chain tracking. All these different partners have different use cases. Within Elrond itself, or obviously a lot of them are cross chain, but you can just see so many of them that are there, and so many still to launch. Like hardly any of these, if any of them, are even on Elrond yet. Which, why they aren't is simply because Elrond hasn't established itself yet very, very, very fluently. So we're going to start to see that with now that UTK is listed on Binance as an ESDT. It sort of paves the way for other ESDTs to start to list, like MEX or like ZPay as an ESDT, and things like that. Even any others that community driven that Binance lists so many different coins. You can pay to get them listed, or you can wait to have your project have enough demand to be listed by them themselves. But a lot of projects do pay, like just pay to earn games that haven't even launched yet. Just had a massive run up and had a big market cap, so they listed on Binance because they knew it would bring them more attention and things like that. So yeah, it's a matter of seeing that sort of come to fruition as well. We're seeing things with the same thing or similar with things like Polygon and its run up when it sort of started to get popular, but then people started to realize it didn't quite have everything that they wanted. It's being quite centralized, and then if you've used Polygon before, you'd know why. It sort of fails quite a lot. It's kind of messy. It's useful, and retry a transaction a couple times, increase the gas, whatever, and it's useful. It's definitely has its uses, but it's not the be all end all. Even as a layer 2 to Ethereum, when it sort of starts to become more of a less of a side chain than it is a layer 2. It remains to be seen, but at the moment it's not incredibly reliable. So it's one of the ones that had a big run up and sort of stopped. Phantom's also one that had quite a large run up. Great coin. Even into the future, they're building an even stronger chain. It's EVM at the moment, so it's quite limited in just the fact that it's EVM. If you don't know, Ethereum virtual machine basically hinders your entire chain to run at about 128 transactions per second, I think it is, which is a theoretical limit for Ethereum transactions per second. So if you're using an EVM, basically you've forfeited yourself, like Binance Smart Chain sometimes gets congested, or has in the past, because it's an EVM using Ethermint, which is the Ethereum virtual machine version of Tendermint, which is a Cosmos technology made by the Cosmos team that is essentially sharding blockchains, but not sharding, having different blockchains entirely that all talk on the same wavelength almost, that can communicate just like sharded networks can to a degree. It doesn't exactly work like that, but it's basically just divide and conquer, create new chains to scale more. So yeah, back to this anyway. Long side train of thought, but so what is Ortonio or Ortonio, or whatever you want to call it? Decentralized. It's a decentralized exchange. It's got liquidity mining. It's a market maker, and it has an AI and machine learning network. So the machine learning network implemented into it is basically access to learning models that enhance trader performance. So basically, it's trading bots, and it's AI assistance for anything to do with trading and traders, and if you looking at providing liquidity. Perhaps it finds a good liquidity pool with high rewards, or it finds a trade that could be good at the time, or things like that. It's basically a prediction prediction tool for price, and there's prediction markets as well, which, in the real world and outside of crypto, in the traditional finance world, prediction markets are huge, and they will eventually be as well for crypto. But crypto is quite a small little thing in itself, and it has its niche, but I don't think the average crypto investor really goes into prediction markets all too much. But yeah, being a decentralized exchange, going cross-chain, and it's very much like NIT finance that I showed at the start, or like, as I mentioned, the Maya bridge is coming, or there's plenty of them these days. I think the other one I mentioned was Meter Network, which is MTRG, just to show and be transparent. Another one with great tech I was going to mention. Oh, look, it's done a little pump back up. I've noticed this one got a bit of attention. I actually did have some, might have bought it somewhere here, maybe bought a little bit more here, and then I sold it somewhere actually near the top. I seem to remember it being $12, so it looks like it's pretty much exactly the top, but to the day, or actually, which is interesting. But yeah, I remember selling it around $12, maybe it was only 10. Another one that I've actually traded in the past, but I still think it's a good one, good project, and strong tech, good fundamental. I actually have traded this one in the past, which I actually gave this trade to when I was working in. I'm still part of it, but I'm not working so much at the moment in it. But the BitBoy Lab, the Discord for BitBoy, I'm active in there semi occasionally, and used to be quite full time in it. And we were buying this coin about somewhere around here anyway. It went from we bought a little bit. Well, I mentioned it here and bought my first bag around there somewhere, and then noticed that it was in a good little pattern here. Bought some more in somewhere around $8. Averaged down a little bit after I bought a bit above $8. So I bought maybe at $8.50 and averaged down over the few days, and then left it to go. And this is actually one that I also mentioned actually right up at $170. So we actually managed to buy pretty low and sell basically the top of that one. So we bought it, around $8, sold it up here for 170. Yeah, huge profit on that one. But it's come right back down to $2.08 now, and that's basically its all-time low, $2.01. So it's one that I would encourage you to look at the tech behind it. Obviously, it's an Elrond party. You can buy it on the Maya exchange, but it's one that I know and have invested in. Far before that, I know in the past, that I've read all the technical papers on it. I haven't caught up with it recently, but it's one that I do want to go back over and see what they're working on. Maybe find out an explanation behind this massive dump of, it's down 98.8%. Yeah, here we go. All-time high 180. So it's down 98.8%. Why is that? I know it had a Parachain sale, which would have caused it to go down quite a bit, because they would have released tokens to Parachain to crowd loaners. Unless they haven't actually haven't got a slot yet. I'm not too sure, but I thought they did. But anyway, something I hadn't fully checked on, but yeah, they definitely have given out a few tokens to Parachain contributors, to lenders. If you don't know how that works, then I'd recommend looking into Polkadot just to see how it works. It has the potential to have good tokenomics to be able to be something to invest in, but at the same time, it's early days for it. Its technology, I think, its use case and technology is overrated. To me, it's the same thing as Cosmos, only less developed with less chains in and around it, and less technology in general. Like some of the biggest chains on the market at the moment, like Luna and Binance Smart Chain, things like that, are Tendermint chains, and are using the technology coming from Cosmos, which will be providing. The only difference really is that Polkadot promises to provide security for chains that so that they don't need to provide their own security and decentralization. They'll essentially provide that for them. But Cosmos is also now building that out, so they will be providing the security for any of the chains if they choose to, so they can opt out. Obviously, Luna already has their own nodes and things like that, so they might want to remain with their own nodes. But it's something I can build a chain in 25 seconds with no, just a basic blockchain that works. I can build it in 25 seconds with 5 lines of code that anyone can sort of do. But it also goes deeper, and you can do so much more with it, like Ethereum virtual machine compatibility, and then obviously you just look at Luna and Binance Smart Chain to see like the apps you can build on it and things like that. So yeah, as far as Ortonio goes, as I've seen it before, it's algorithmic trading and things like that. Algorithmic trading is good and bad. Sometimes it depends on the bot. Sometimes you have an amazing algorithmic trading bot, and it's amazing for 6 months, and then it loses you all your money in 3 weeks, or just stops performing, and you slowly just dripping away at your money, so you opt out of that. So it really depends on the performance of that, as well as the fact that obviously it's a cross-chain bridge and DEX, so it's a matter of how much liquidity they get, if it's worth using and why it's worth using, reduced trading fees for stakers and things like that. But how much is that going to benefit you? Are you going to be trading a lot? What are the incentives of being a node provider? Or obviously it's something that most people wouldn't want to look at, but you kind of sometimes want to look at it to see why someone would want to become one. Who actually is providing security to the network. If the rewards for them aren't exactly going to be offsetting the risk that they have it up there. So yeah, just having those sort of tools in your toolkit to look at a project, reading actually the details as well. So going into the documents and reading the presentation, the tokenomics in this case, and seeing why. Maybe if I can find something specifically. Economics, staking. Let's see if I can find it back a bit. I'm trying to find something sort of technical to be able to show you, to just, if you're unsure about something. Liquidity suite, market maker app, liquidity aggregator. So you might not know what a liquidity aggregator is. Essentially what it is, well, you can Google it, like I was saying before. Essentially what it is it allows participants to simultaneously obtain streamed prices from several liquidity providers or pools. So 1inch is a liquidity aggregator that allows you to go onto quite a few chains now and always know that you're getting the best liquidity from the sources that they provide. I actually worked on a project that's still going, and still in contact with the team. But DexKit, which is also a liquidity aggregator that works, across multiple chains, that, basically essentially grabs the liquidity from lots of different sources, and then provides the best price for the coin for you to trade. So yeah, it's definitely something that's useful for you to use if you're just using, Uniswap, and there's liquidity across a lot of different places, or even on Elrond, there's going to be multiple dexes coming up, and there'll be liquidity aggregators eventually to make sure you're getting the best price from all of those different dexes. And obviously then there's people that use bots to take advantage of the price swings between different exchanges. So if there's the price is higher on one exchange than the other, they'll buy on one exchange and sell it on the other. But yeah, so essentially going through and understanding the actual process, this doesn't seem to advance in itself, but some white papers definitely are, and Crust, for example, would be quite complicated to go through and worry down. I think that's everything that people have suggested for projects. Like the crypto market itself is very up and down. It's always going to have peaks and troughs. That's just going to be the case. That is the case with any market. So really understanding that when you're buying something, understanding why you're buying it, having a plan behind when you're buying it. If it drops 30%, when you haven't noticed it, are you gonna sell that? Are you gonna buy it back? Or it's very much important to sort of go through and understand that as well. So some of the latest on Elrond, obviously we got the Ethereum launch. It's listing and going through the process of price discovery, and that's exciting. It's gone up quite a lot, and if you got into the pre-sale of that, congratulations. I missed out on that one, and I'm glad the community's getting value from that. There's lots of NFT projects on Elrond at the moment, so apes, for example, have gone up like crazy, and they seem to be one of the. Is that it? That doesn't look quite right, but I think it is. So it's seeming to be one of the blue chips for Elrond, which is great for anyone who got into the pre-sale of that one or minted one for yourself. Some of these projects are quite cool. Like I've looked at this one, and I know it's pardon me, I've just got the hiccups. I know it's got a sort of business behind it, and they're building a game eventually, but they're trying to build a clean the seas essentially with the funds that you raise. They're building a business that they want sea sponges in ports to reduce pollution and things like that, which is just nice. And there's quite a lot of these different NFT. I've seen a couple projects come out of this one which have been questionable by some people, and other people are endorsing it and things like that. I'm not really doing either, but I've seen they're releasing a few things. There's quite a few NFTs on here that have gone through those sort of processes. One that I do like the look of, that looks like they're actually building quite a bit, which is another game, but it seems to be one of the first games on Elrond. So, as Elrond sort of gains traction, as it releases, it's likely to gain some traction and get some value. But, I minted a couple of these just on a whim. Don't even know why. The project didn't really have anything behind it that you could really look into at the time. But nowadays you go onto their Discord and they have, there's a new soundtrack every couple of days, and, new buildings, and, as you just see, they have e-gold bonds and just things like that that'll go into the game. It's one of the ones that sort of look like they're building quite a lot, that, it's something to keep an eye on. They get their own token out now, which you can sort of trade on and maybe check. I like not that I'm super endorsing it, but I do like this J exchange, or Jex. You can search offers that are peer-to-peer through other people, through all these different tokens. Not sure why that one got selected, but anyway, for all these tokens, so it's somewhere you can actually buy and sell water, for example, that that has been mentioned by Seba, one of the Elrond team members, and you can see it's less than a cent, and you can go through and look for what the market cap would be on a diluted valuation of how much water that actually is compared to the market cap compared to the the price, and et cetera, et cetera. going into that, I think one day I worked it out to be something like 10 million or something like that on a fully diluted valuation. So, but you can go through and trade these tokens peer to peer, which is maybe somewhere you can look at ZPay and see here it's $2.28, but maybe it was maybe you found an offer that someone's trying to sell it for less than the market value, so you can buy it there and sell it on. Like I said, I'm not really super endorsing this. It's the same thing as when Emoon first came out. I didn't really want to endorse it, and it went through a hack. And this, to some degree, could as well. Obviously, what would be hacked would be anything that would be listed, but because I'm not exactly sure, there are ways to make sure that doesn't happen. But having them listed up here, there's potential for them to be able to be stolen if they're sitting in a smart contract wallet and they get hacked. So I'm not really super endorsing it, but like I said, it's something you can use for now. I would really only want to be buying from it just in case myself. I haven't tried to sell anything on it, but it does work. So buying on it now, is definitely a possibility, so long as there hasn't already been a vulnerability. Sisu NFT, I'll have a look at that now. Just have a look on Twitter. Assuming that's where I'm going to find it. Whoops. I haven't actually seen this at all. No. Ooh, have I? No, I don't think so. I'll give him a follow for you. Have a look at their light paper. So 555. Human form of Sisu. I'm not sure what Sisu is. Guardians of Humans. So Sisu are guardians of humans. Cultural change project. So 8 hand-selected virtues in corresponding color. Sure. So I'm not sure if it's just NFTs. They're kind of cool. I like them. Like the amateur art style and things like that. They're kind of neat. I haven't heard of them before, and I'm not sure exactly what they're doing. Rose NFT looks like they're partnering with them, which I know. Expanding the Rose NFT ecosystem. So it's basically the Rose NFT ecosystem as well. They're neat. I like it. Something I'll recommend to read the white paper of, and I'll probably do this more in depth later. Finish system. Yeah, something I'll do more in depth, but try to get a little idea of now. There we go. Phase 1, 300 traits, 100 million combinations, extremely rare. A couple of these people are relatively well known, and the projects behind them, or partnered with it, or not sure exactly if it's the the same, essentially the same project as the Rose NFT. I like them. Maybe I'll mint one. See how I go later down the line. I'll go through this in a bit later myself. Thanks for that. That's they're neat. I like them. Be cool to see how they go, and if they the floor price goes up. But I don't look at NFTs as much about the floor price just going up, and as an investment, as much as I do sort of the community behind it, as well as the artwork, and some being essentially the product. If they're building a game, and that game could be worth something, then it can be something that could be worth investing in as an investment if something like Elrond Apes is going to go up as much as it has and get the recognition it has, sort of thing. There's nothing wrong with having that be an investment. If there's any other projects anyone wants me to go over, I'm more than happy to. And I'll just bring up a little list that I have here. This is just of some Elrond partners and this is quite an old little infographic, little adoption map. But you can go through and see all the partners that Elrond have, or you can just Google basically Elrond infographic or adoption map. I'm sure that'll come up too. And you can see some of the partners they have, like runtime verification, which will eventually be able to they're basically building a formal verification for smart contracts to be able to run securely without any hacks, which has massive potential. And they're building it for Cardano as well. But Cardano is an interesting one. I've been over it before, and I won't go over it now. But their runtime's currently ahead on the Rust implementation, the Elrond side of it, than they are on Cardano. But you can see they've got Holochain as a partner, which it's quite complicated in itself to go over. But these are sort of some of the partners you can go and look over. And if you think Elrond's going to get some proper adoption, you might want to look at some of these that are sort of saying they're building something on Elrond and maybe nowhere else, or maybe just in a couple other places. Or if you ask their teams on Twitter or not Twitter, on Telegram or Discord, you might find that they're just planning to build on Elrond and have been for a while, but haven't released anything yet, just because of the state of the chain at the moment. But also just as obviously the software development kit has been in constant build mode. Every time there's a new virtual machine release, there's new features that get added. One good thing about Elrond is that if you build a smart contract, you don't ever really, there has been one situation, but where for some reason smart contracts just stopped working when they implemented a feature. So it was a real quick line of text to fix and coding for some of the smart contracts that went down, because I know a couple of NFT marketplaces did. But essentially, the previous versions of the virtual machine for Elrond just carry over onto the next version. So you could start a smart contract now, that in 7 months' time, after 5 virtual machine upgrades, essentially on a lot of other chains, your project will stop working because it's not compatible with the virtual machine anymore. But essentially, the virtual machine's backwards compatible and actually runs various virtual machines simultaneously. So essentially, you'll be able to run your smart contract still without having to update it. But yeah, you'll find some of these projects maybe waiting for certain things, or just building on other chains at the moment, waiting for, maybe Elrond needs to get more total value locked. And, some of these are also building on things like Cardano just because they have a higher value. They're thinking, if I build on Cardano, I'll get more money because there's more people looking at it and, 10 times more valuation within it ish, or, maybe a bit more, bit less at any point given time into the future. But, where there's money, generally, a lot of developers end up following that because, why wouldn't you if you want to make money? The people that you see building solely on a single chain, a lot of the time are doing it because they because of the sort of the passion behind that chain themselves. CNTR, Centaur, that's one that I've tried to look into and sort of harass the devs a bit in the past. They're actually one of the ones that I know that their main product is going to be an Elrond at some point. It's essentially a centralized finance, as well as a DeFi sort of mix of, C DeFi, or I can't remember what someone called it the other day, but I thought it was great. I have to think about that. But essentially a centralized finance sort of C DeFi platform that are building. They have a DEX, I think, at the moment with a Tendermint chain, which I'm assuming and almost certain of that in the future, Tenement chains and Cosmos are going to be quite interoperable with Elrond. Elrond itself is really interoperable anyway, but they have a lot of the same code base for different portions of their code and things like that. But also just because the teams do have spoken, they know each other to an extent, and even since they both started building, they've had some sort of communication with each other in the past. So that's definitely something that they're on good terms and would want to work together at some point. And that's sort of the main thing that that would be reiterated, is that you don't want competing chains really. You want these chains like to be working together, like how here Matic are with Elrond, for example, or like Polychain and things like that. Or lots of these are the chains of their own, so like Blue Zella and I think Dusk is as well. Dusk is. So yeah, like these chains that are their own ontology, and that they're still working together, and they're sort of the projects that will work with these other projects that we know sort of are working on just building something that's for the world. They're sort of the ones that you want to be looking at more so. So I'll just have a look at Centaur more closely, which I haven't looked at for quite a while. I'm assuming their market cap's just been absolutely decimated, like most of these sort of smaller altcoins have been. Let's have a look. Yes, $800,000 market cap. And I know that it has another coin, it was called Wheat, or I can't remember exactly what it's called, but it had a DEX that had another coin with it. It doesn't even say where it is, but Cosmos Bay, sorry. Settlement layer for financial institutions to open up verticals in CFund DeFi. So they're really trying to get financial institutions into crypto, which is something that's really hard, especially in the day and age that we are, where centralized finance really doesn't want to even take a look at crypto at the moment. And they'll hold off as long as they can. So yeah, this is one that, like I've said, I've met, talked to the developers the team. I'm not sure if exactly the developers, but I've talked to the team before on Telegram and asked them, are you building on Elrond? And they've said yes. Essentially, one of our main products will be, or our main product will be on Elrond at some point in the future. It's just a matter of when that ever happens. There's going to be a few projects sort of like that, and I think quite a few of them will be working together to sort of release at the same time as well, to sort of create this mutually beneficial. I know, like I've seen a stream with it was a stream with who was it? It was Seva with Crypto Div, and Seva mentioned that they obviously, how they pick their partners is they go out and reach out to people that they think would be a good fit. People reach out to them thinking that they want to benefit the ecosystem, and they partner with people who are going to be beneficial to the ecosystem and things like that. But they also put people in touch with one another that will be of benefit to each other. And that's really key to building relationships, is being able to introduce people that need other people that they didn't even know they needed, or potentially that they have a similar vision that they can work together to create a product for. So essentially, I see them having a group to some degree, whether it be 5 projects or 20 projects or whatever, that will sort of all be wanting to release at the same time, because they all have similar interests and needs and wants, and mixed together in different ways to create these sort of financial products that we see on. I think that one was Way. Yeah, I think it was. So I couldn't remember what it was exactly called, but yeah, I knew it had something to do with not really wheat, but close enough. But yes, that was Way. Which is essentially their Maya Exchange MEX token for Centaur, I believe. So as I was saying, that having those partners that will finish creating a financial product similar to things that we're starting to see, like I know I just saw the other day Tron's coming out with a stablecoin that is promising, I think, 30% interest, which is kind of crazy. UST offers, I think it's 20. Well, it's roughly 20. I think it's more like 19%, 19.5 at the moment with a 1% fee. But when Elrond can come out with similar products like that, like why would you use Tron? I mean, arguably Tron's not terrible, but arguably it is also terrible in different ways. The founder's questionable, and motivations behind it, and where money's come from, and I think the main thing you want to get out of that is who Justin Sun is. There's a lot of write-ups on him. He's a very interesting guy. I would highly recommend reading into that. Don't really want to get into the politics behind it, but it's something to that Elrond will. Why would not pick Elrond over it? As far as Luna goes, a lot of people will probably just compare apples to oranges, or apples to apples there, when it's an apples to oranges comparison, and you sort of won't find that out for a while. But I think people will find that out just in the user experience of, if Elrond's offering 15% interest in a stablecoin when UST is still at 19.5%, 20%. If you don't know how to use if you don't know how to use Anchor Protocol to get 20% interest on UST, it's kind of hard to do so. It's something that a lot of people will sort of smirk at in traditional finance, thinking you're getting 20%, that you're lying, and then come over to the crypto world and realize it's a thing, it's happening, and offering 30% from Justin Sun. I'm not sure exactly how that protocol is doing that, but I do need to read into that and find out how and why. Thanks, I enjoyed that. Got to head out. Doing 10-minute video occasionally. Yeah, I'd do a couple of 10-minute videos. Like I could do videos, not necessarily live stream, but actually pre-recorded. On a few projects if people wanted that, or sort of TikTok style or something like that. I don't even have a TikTok. I think I did set one up actually, but I don't have any followers on there or anything like that. I'm not exactly looking to get a massive follow base. I sort of just want to be putting out there just some information for people who actually want it, and are sort of looking in the right places, and obviously today is sort of like almost like a basic sort of thing of, why to invest and why not to invest, and, just sharing a couple little projects and whatnot. But I'll just, as things continue, now I'm back to crypto a lot more, I'll be able to sort of do more in it, and I'll be able to do things like that. So thanks for the suggestion. I'll definitely consider doing little 10-minute videos of different coins, or tutorials on different things, but potentially I know tutorials probably wouldn't do as well. It's pretty easy to figure a lot of things out, especially on Elrond. I mean, it really anyone can use it. So as you can see from Cento Finance, they've got their multi-asset wallet, and obviously that will end up being cross-chain with potentially Elrond in there, if that's where they're gonna have an automated market maker as well. That's right, they do have a reduced slippage tool that is basically an algorithm that it is basically just used to reduce slippage and mitigate impermanent loss, which is great for, if you know what impermanent loss is, providing liquidity on the Elrond exchange. I don't know how profitable it's exactly been the entire time, but I know that for a while it was incredibly profitable to begin with, and then it tapered off, and then now you're earning lock mechs. So you don't know when that's going to be unlocked. Or you do, but you don't know what price it's going to be when it's unlocked. I'm assuming it's going to be more, because after a year of the token vesting schedule starting to unlock, it's really when you want to start putting in your utility. I don't see the Elrond team really pushing utility on mechs until that initial unlock starts to happen, that the actual inflation starts to become more noticeable, because obviously they'll want to counter that inflation as well. But as I said, it's a Cosmos-based blockchain as well. It's actually centralized by nature. Well, not fully centralized. Even Helios, you can see, has a node actually, which is a good sign for it being an Elrond project as well, I think. But yeah, it's essentially a relatively centralized chain by design on purpose. And yeah, got a few partners. Actually, this Oreo Pocket one was an interesting one as well. They're trying to tokenize essentially everything by having custodial access to gold, silver, or even certain products or commodities in general. I'm not sure how far they've developed, but that's something to look into, whether they're still developing. And they had a multi-stake thing where you stake one token, you got a whole bunch of different tokens as well. So they have a lot of partners behind the scenes, building their own little network, which is nice and neat. So yeah, it's definitely, there's a lot of little projects you can find within projects that you can look at. So for example, I'm not sure, I can't remember where the website is. I don't think that was actually it. Maybe this is it. It does look like it is, yeah. Okay, so yeah, you can, buy gold and silver on it, and essentially end up with it on an app, which would be your, it would be your, like a crypto wallet, basically. One thing that you can, go to from here is like I'm not sure where I find their partners actually. Doesn't have a direct, maybe in blog, might be in just a home if I didn't scroll down enough. But you can go to their partners and find who they're working with, potentially find out how legitimate they are, or that's not working. How legitimate they are, or potentially how legitimate other projects that are partnered with them. You might find some good gems within that as well. For some reason, doesn't have the. I know that the website used to be different. So I know that they had their partners listed at one point, which currently they don't. But you might be able to find some gems in there as well. It's all about looking at even just some of these and just going through their partners. A lot of people know about Orion and what it's done up and down, and I've supported its technology, and as it becomes fulfills its roadmap, it'll sort of be able to definitely have good use cases that in the future could really be if it gets used a lot, it ends up pushing the price up, but also just have actual real use cases for a sort of a decentralization of liquidity. And yeah, there's a bunch of different partners in here, and like different oracles. You can go through and find out which technology there's more oracles as well, but of these oracles that which one has the sort of more dated technology of statistics within their white paper potentially, and just how they go about things as to how useful, or not useful, but how scalable their technology is, and how secure and decentralized the places they're getting their data from. But again, oracles are one that without tokenomics behind it, there's a lot of the time not really an incentive to buy the token. Like it's a lot of people complaining about MEX not having utility at the moment, so there's no incentive to buy the token. But you look at Chainlink, and it's multi-billion-dollar market cap. And why is it a multi-billion-dollar market cap? It's because it's well known, really. Any thoughts of the growth of the Maya MEX becoming deflationary, heading that way will take a lot more projects and liquidity, increasing value for MEX over the long term. So I think MEX really did have the path that every DEX has of starting off, in a place and basically going straight down from there. You look at most projects go down that same route. And really it's the people who are really supporting it from the beginning and or buy at the bottom, obviously, but supporting it from the beginning end up, when we get our locked mechs at the start of everything, when we sort of first get our locked mechs, if you've just been staking it, sitting there in the staking pool ever since, all you've done is gotten more locked mechs, which, after a year, you've already been able to sell some of your tokens, but after a year when you can sell all your tokens, you've made a pretty decent amount of money just on selling those tokens that you got for free, essentially. And then also, as more unlock over time, you'll be able to constantly sell. And that obviously that sell pressure will be what sort of pushes down the price of mechs as well. And the reason it hasn't been pushed down as much sometimes is because you can trade, you can buy and sell locked mechs, which essentially acts as a different token through exchanges, just because it's locked for a year, so you can't buy and sell it on the actual Maya exchange. So that's interesting in itself of like, if you're willing to wait a year and you think locked mechs is at a good price, buying that, staking it, waiting that year, maybe less for it to unlock, then using those unlocked tokens, selling those, and then just the profit you've made off of the staking rewards, that could be great. And obviously, like I said before, the utility for mechs I think will come, and there'll be obviously a lot more tokens listing, especially when the bridge, which has just gone through more community testing, when the bridge launches for Ethereum, it's not just going to be Ethereum. Don't forget that it's going to be really a bridge for a lot of different chains. It's going to have definitely Bitcoin, Ethereum, Binance Smart Chain. It'll have a lot of different chains, not necessarily to begin with, although potentially we can have more than just Ethereum to begin with, but not necessarily to begin with will we have all these different chains being able to come in and being used as liquidity and as for liquidity mining and things like that, and for obviously burning percentage of the transactions. But you could also look at the fact that when those tokens do start to come in, that's when we start to use mechs for liquidity as well, which creates more buying pressure. Sorry, for the MEX token itself, and also just in general, more utilities that get announced for MEX, whether it starts to be able to be, if it lists on Binance, for example, that's likely to get some more traction and attention. People like leverage trading it or taking a look at what it is and where it's being used, and as you sort of see things start to grow and more projects get listed on that exchange, it's generally when people start to buy it and invest, in that ecosystem. And there'll be peaks and troughs, just like any other exchange token, or just like any other token or market in general. So yeah, I think the price of it going down recently, I sort of expected, and I'm not expecting it to continue as much, just because I think we're coming into a more bullish cycle again. Maybe just a mini cycle, not as we just had sort of recently. There was a little bit of euphoria that sort of died down as well. But I think at the moment it's still sort of so fresh in people's minds that so set in people's minds that every time the price goes up, that it's euphoria and we're going on the next hype wave. That's sort of holding the price back at the moment. We can't go up on a hype wave if we're sitting at even 50K for Bitcoin. That isn't euphoria. That isn't where we should be euphoric. 50K is, we've been there many times. We were using it as support at one point. Everyone thought we were going to crash below it, and we bounced right off of it at one point, went back up to 60K or whatever. It's not where the euphoria should be, and you can see the sentiment reflecting that in the market, and you can also see just the RSI divergence just reflecting not being able to form bullish divergence on a sustained level, which if you don't know what I'm talking about with TA, I kind of didn't really want to get into it, but we're forming more easily bearish divergence at the moment and going through periods of that than we are forming bullish divergence. So we're sort of coming in and out of periods of that, and to get a sustained rally, we really need to be able to either break that divergence or start a new rally over time with the divergence remaining in a bullish state. We'll have a quick look at the Bitcoin price, just because I'm mentioning TA, I suppose. The stock market's down week on week for the last month. So Bitcoin has basically followed that as well. It's now sort of doing a bit better than that. And this is my whole Bitcoin chart at the moment, and sort of what I'm basing things off of is Elliott waves here, which these aren't confirmed. I mean that the leg down almost is at this point, and that is looking like 1 and 2, but there could be also 1, 2, 3, 4, and then we could see a 5 up here, but it's pretty unlikely. At the moment, it's looking like we're going to have a bit of more of a leg up, and where I'm seeing this end here is essentially just where we had this high before. This is going to be sort of a target for me to be saying, hey, look, realistically, yeah, we're euphoric, but are we really going to get, we might only get to here or something, and it depends on the time frame and things like that. But we might get up to here, depending on the time frame of when it is, but also just this could easily get unvalidated, or this could end up being our first leg up very quickly, for whatever particular reason or news comes out. Then we could see a pullback, to whatever point, down here or whatever the case may be. These levels aren't exactly solid or anything, but I just feel like that's going to be a significant point somewhere when we start to make a leg up. And like I said, don't know when, could be in the next, 3 years, for example. Either way, I think most people agree that the super cycle's still sort of there. Bitcoin's still sort of going to go up. Short videos would be great. Definitely spread the word. Yeah, sure. Yeah. Like I said, I'm not exactly trying to build like a big user base and like become a big crypto YouTuber or anything like that. If I wanted to, and things go well, I do have contacts like BitBoy Crypto and Lightliger. I have a few YouTube contacts that would have said in the past they would endorse me if I continued. I just am not sure if that's what I want to do or not. To the degree of like, I don't really want to become as popular and have the financial, the stress and the financial burden of people that say oh, you're a pump and dumper and things like that. It's just not where I want to go with things. And yeah, anyway, but yeah, based on the if I get rid of this and go to the daily, as I'd be looking, and then same with the RSI. Here let's see the RSIs. I haven't looked at the chart just relatively recently, so here you can see we have a lower high here and a higher high there, which only is just, but they're basically equal. And then we have the lower low here. Sorry, I meant the higher low. The lower low here compared to there. So that's some bullish divergence there, which should play out to the upside, which essentially it did. It came up from that level when that divergence sort of formed. And you can see, back here, where it was, we had the pump. So between here and there, no, that's not where the divergence was. Maybe it was there. So we had a higher low and a lower low. No, but yeah, that generally that divergence is a sign that the price is sort of going up or trending in some direction. Here we have an equal with a lower, which is a little bit bullish as well. And then here you can see, the low here in this area here is a lot lower than, is a lot higher than here, but here it's a lot lower than it is here. And from that point there, we've had a run up. And then here we've sort of cooled off. It's a little bit bullish, come back up. So yeah, RSI is a good little indicator, as well as the Bollinger Bands, I believe, have gotten a bit tighter recently. I was looking at a discussion on that recently, but I haven't looked at it really that much myself. But they've it started to come down, starting to come up, getting a little bit tighter in here as well. Essentially, the Bollinger Bands. Very smart guy made it with the last name of Bollinger. I can't remember his first name, but he's got a large Twitter follower, and he does TA on Bitcoin sometimes as well, which is neat. But yeah, essentially, as this starts to sort of get more narrow, so you might more see it at the start of the last run. So it's quite narrow here, and we have a big run, and it gets narrower here, has a run, but also here not so much, but it also gets narrower in as it comes down as well. So generally, in the more narrow areas is where Bitcoin makes a move. So as the Bollinger Bands start to come in more, and there's the center point, Bitcoin essentially just has a run up or down, but gets more volatile and potentially more volume as that sort of starts to concave and come in. So yeah, how I see it at the moment is we're looking like it's going to be relatively bullish from here in the midterm, and potentially in the shorter term as well. So let's hope to see that start to play out. And obviously then that frees up the markets for eGold to follow and do the same, which I have its long-term pattern here, which is a ascending wedge. I can't remember the exact name of it. Anyway, but you can see the A, B, C, D, E, F, and then from the D to the E is essentially the price movement that when it reaches that level and retests, that's when if it breaks that point, comes up to this point and comes back down, that's when essentially that's when the signal is to buy it. So the signal hasn't even technically started yet, although I'm pretty sure most of us know we're going back to $500 at some point, and $800 is definitely not out of the horizon. With most of us, I'm sure, are pretty sure that we're going to get there at some point. But then essentially it's a continuation pattern, so it'll come up here, and essentially from there it just generally continues on an upwards trend. And there's no reason we can't get to these sort of levels, and this is sort of a long-term trend of maybe it's time to sell when we get to these points, which in the is just this extrapolated is just hitting these two levels, which was quite easy to predict when it touched that it was going to come down. So anyone who sort of sold in this area sort of knew what was coming. Obviously, you might have only thought it would come back down to here to retest and go back up, or et cetera, et cetera. But, Bitcoin had its days, and we've been down ever since. So, yeah, essentially, thanks for coming on, I suppose. Essentially that we'll call that it for the day. And send through any topics. Anyone want to message me, PM me on Twitter? My DMs are open for anyone who wants to message me. As you can see, what someone has during that, so I'll read that in a minute. You're more than welcome to come message me. Suggest anything for me, and I'll be sure to help you guys out with whatever it is that you want, and tailor to your wants and needs. And thanks for coming along, Peerless. It was good to see you in here. And everyone else as well, obviously. NFT Bounty Hunter and Jason and Iona. Darnie, James, and John Rocker. Good to see you as well, mate. Taco. Yeah. Pull little Theo back up again. Whoop. He's gone. There he is. Good boy. Such a good puppy. He doesn't know what the hell's happening. Good boy. So yeah, thanks for coming along, guys, and I'll be sure to feature him some more in the next couple of videos, and have more content that you guys want, and release a few small videos here and there, and yeah, just let me know what you guys want to see it about, and I'll tailor to that, and I'll be seeing you very soon, because I think I'll start the stream about once a week, but I'll probably be doing a little bit shorter and more scheduled than just a hello, come in and quick chat and things like that. So until next time, I'll see you guys then.